in furtherance of our shared responsibility in managing the affairs of Rivers State. I wish to extend my sincere appreciation to the chairman and distinguished members for your dedication to fulfilling your constitutional mandate, particularly in the light of the very tight schedules of the members of this committee. This committee has dedicated most of the last 2 days screening our nominees for appointment into various boards of commissions and agencies. The diligent and thorough engagement with the nominees is a testament of the seriousness this most distinguished committee places on the task before us all. We in Rivers State are most grateful for your dedication and commitment. Following the declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State by His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, President Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, pursuant to Section 11, Paragraph 4 of 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, and the pronouncement of the Supreme Court on Rivers State 2025 appropriation, I was directed by Mr. President to develop a budget proposal for Rivers State. I subsequently submitted a budget proposal to Mr. President, which he graciously transmitted to the National Assembly for consideration. Furthermore, we received a correspondence from this distinguished committee requesting for information regarding the 2024 budget performance, revenue and expenditure of the state from January 2025 to date, as well as the details of the 2025 budget proposal. I am pleased to inform the committee that we have largely compiled and transmitted the requested information, which I believe are with you. A quick review of the official records for the 2024 budget shows that the total revenue of Rivers State government was 1.04 trillion naira compared to a target of 800.39 billion naira. This represented 250.37 billion naira or 31.6% above the budget target. On the expenditure side, official budget performance report shows total expenditure was 740.7 billion naira. This was 52.72 billion naira or 6.6% less than the spending target. It is my well-considered opinion that the expenditures were clearly understated. The proposed 2025 Rivers State government budget aligns with the strategic objectives outlined in the Rivers State Development Plan 2017-2027. Importantly, the budget proposal before you may not be a perfect document, given the time and circumstances of its development. Regrettably, also, some state officials withheld critical information required to ensure a more complete capture of those expenditures undertaken in the first quarter at the time of submission of the budget estimates. However, the budget proposal presents an integrated framework to strengthen revenue mobilization, accelerate infrastructure delivery, enhance human capital, and promote inclusive economic growth. The budget is crafted as a people-centered fiscal blueprint responsive to present challenges and future development imperatives. We are optimistic that implementing the budget proposal will deliver great socioeconomic benefits for the people of Rivers State. The proposed 2025 budget was meticulously designed to account for and regularize expenditure already undertaken during the first quarter of the fiscal year by the suspended administration before the state of emergency declaration by His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR. The total revenue projected for the 2025 fiscal year is 1.490 trillion naira. As at 31st May 2025, total revenue inflows were about 415 billion naira, which is about 8% higher than the 383 billion naira projected. The total expenditure plan for 2025, like I stated earlier, is 1.80 trillion naira as submitted to Mr. President. However, after receipt of the additional information on the first quarter expenditure, the reviewed projected expenditure for 2025 is 1.846 trillion naira. However, recognizing the exigencies under the state of emergency and the need to ensure fiscal credibility, the budget framework integrates expenditure information made available before the submission of the budget proposal to ratify first quarter expenditures within a lawful and transparent structure. This ensures alignment with statutory appropriation protocols while safeguarding the integrity of public finance management. Additionally, in anticipation of the eventual return to constitutional order, the draft budget prudently retains provisions for the offices and functions of suspended political actors, some of whom have already drawn unallocated resources in the first quarter and are expected to resume their duties at the expiration of the emergency period. Considering the prevailing security challenges and the formal declaration of state of emergency on security by Mr. President, the budget prioritizes restoring peace, public order, community stability, and measures to secure national assets within Rivers State. The budget provides robust allocations to support a multifaceted security framework to curb insecurity and substantially prevent future escalation. In acknowledgement of the complex and evolving nature of insecurity we face in Rivers State, particularly as it relates to militancy, cult-related violence, kidnapping, and intercommunal conflicts, the budget provides substantial resources for intelligence gathering and analysis. These resources will support data collection and analytics to improve interagency collaboration designed to detect and neutralize threats before they materialize. Importantly, these efforts will be coordinated under a unified security architecture designed to streamline command structures, avoid duplication of efforts, and enhance operational efficiency and accountability. The aim is to create a centralized yet responsive framework capable of deploying resources quickly, coordinating crisis responses, and engaging stakeholders, including traditional rulers, civil society organizations, and youth leaders in ongoing peace-building efforts. With a record allocation of 324.51 billion naira to critical physical infrastructure, the administration is prioritizing completing high-impact roads, bridges, and transport networks to improve connectivity, facilitate commerce, and stimulate economic activities across rural and urban areas. This also includes 38.85 billion naira allocated for shoreline protection, land reclamation, and erosion control, supporting long-term environmental resilience and disaster mitigation efforts. In the agricultural sector, the budget aligns with Nigeria's broader food security goals through a 4.5 billion naira counterpart funds for the Rural Access and Agricultural Marketing Program to unlock about 45 billion naira to open up rural access to farms and markets, 10 billion naira for food security, an initiative aimed at catalyzing the scaling up of local production in rice, cassava, oil palm, maize, poultry, and coconut. There is also a provision for 3.5 billion naira for investments in agricultural mechanization to boost food production. These interventions are projected to generate over 16,000 direct and indirect jobs within 2 years, if sustained. Health sector investments are equally substantial, including 55 billion naira for the relocation and expansion of the Rivers State University Teaching Hospital, 50 billion naira for zonal hospitals upgrades, and 5.0 billion naira for a drug revolving fund to strengthen essential medicine supply system. The education sector receives targeted investments of 30 billion naira for zonal secondary schools and 5.75 billion naira for primary schools rehabilitation. In addition to the 1.5 billion naira in special schools to support our initiatives for inclusive education. The budget also demonstrates a strong commitment to gender equity and youth development, with 2.5 billion naira dedicated to women economic empowerment and 3 billion naira for the establishment of a youth resource center aimed at capacity building, innovation, and enterprise development. Furthermore, the budget reflects a comprehensive people-centered approach to governance with targeted investments across housing, environmental protection, public administration, financial inclusion, and security. The state has earmarked 25 billion naira for intervention in housing schemes to expand access to homes for middle-income families, alongside the rehabilitation of state-owned estates to address urban congestion, improve living conditions, and further stimulate the construction sector with its attendant impact on job creation. Environmental resilience is a top priority with significant provisions for flood mitigation and waterway rehabilitation. These interventions, if implemented, will reduce displacement in riverine communities and safeguard vital ecosystems amid rising climate risk. In public administration, the budget commits over 117 billion naira to pensions, gratuities, and employee benefits, marking a decisive shift towards restoring dignity and welfare in the civil service. This includes a 50 billion naira provision to begin to address the long-standing issues around pensions and gratuity arrears owed to retirees in Rivers State. Notably, the implementation of the Employee Compensation Act and a new group life insurance scheme reflects global best practices in labor protection. The state also plans to inject 20 billion naira into the recapitalization of the Rivers State Microfinance Bank, aimed at empowering micro, small, and medium enterprise and underserved populations, especially youth and women, with improved access to affordable credit. These measures support inclusive economic growth and grassroots development. God willing, every River citizen with a great idea, carefully thought out and well planned, will find the funding they require to turn their dreams into successful ventures, irrespective of tribe, ethnicity, or political divide. Across all provisions, the budget reinforces Mr. President's directive to deliver on Rivers State's development priorities, sustain critical government functions, and ensure the continuity of programs that directly impact the lives and livelihoods of the people of Rivers State. In conclusion, the proposed 2025 Rivers State budget is structured to support inclusive development, restore public trust, and deepen socioeconomic reforms. It reflects fiscal responsibility, forward-looking governance, a strong commitment to human capital development, continued infrastructural renewal, dedicated investment in security and institutional integrity during this critical transition period. The budget proposal demonstrates a commitment to both immediate impact and long-term resilience through strategic allocations across critical sectors such as works, agriculture, health, education, women, and youth empowerment. The deliberate provision for institutional continuity and respect for democratic norms amid political tension underscores a governance ethos grounded in constitutionalism, accountability, and commitment to restore democratic order in line with Mr. President's mandate. Overall, the budget reflects not just fiscal planning, but a strategic repositioning of Rivers State for sustainable growth, social cohesion, and a renewed contract between government and its people. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Administrator of Rivers State and members of his team, invited guests, please can we listen to ourselves in silence? Gentlemen of the press, let me once again thank all of you for your time and attention to this matter. Let me also once again thank our distinguished colleagues for their time. I report progress by saying that this ad hoc committee had deliberated extensively on the budget proposal submitted by the administrator of Rivers State through the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. It was submitted to us as an executive bill. And as you are aware, gentlemen of the press, we had taken both the first and second reading of this bill, where the general principles of this budget were debated on the floor of the Senate, just like it was done on the floor of the House of Representatives. As you are also aware, distinguished gentlemen of the press, the administrator and his team had appeared before our counterpart ad hoc committee of the House of Representatives. And today they have just done the same before our committee here in the Red Chamber. And as much as possible, I want to report that in addition to the opportunity we had to review this budget and its general principles as well as details in the last 3 weeks since it was presented in May 2025. We had also had the opportunity to directly engage with the administrator as well as members of his team, including the Accountant General of Rivers State Government, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Finance of Rivers State, the Director of Budget of Rivers State Government, the Director of Planning of Rivers State Government, all of whom had been in office before the emergency rule commenced, and none of whom was suspended or prevented from doing the day-to-day administration of the government through their MDAs. It's also on record that at least 85% of the budget estimates presented to us today were the budget estimates already drawn up by the Fubara-led administration before the emergency rule. They had increased it by some 15% or so, based on projects, additional projects that needed to be executed. In the course of our interaction with the administrator and his economic team, we also learned as a committee that part of what they needed to do as a matter of urgency and as part of our wanting to enhance the peace process in Rivers State and ensure the happiness of workers is to inject a sum of 50 billion naira to take care of part of the liabilities in the area of payment of pensions and gratuities, which the administrator feels so strongly about, and with which we also agree, because this is not just about brick and mortar, talking about project, this is about direct welfare of people who are served all their lives in the service of the government and people of Rivers State, and who also deserve to be paid their pensions and gratuities. And that's part of what explains the need for additional budgetary provision, and that took it beyond what was put there by the administration, before the advent of the emergency rule. Our committee also notes with satisfaction the fact that over 70% of this budget, as proposed, is going into capital expenditure. We feel that this is highly commendable, and it means that less than 30% of this will go into recurrent expenditure, and a negligible part of it going into consumables in the name of overhead. We commend this to all our state governments in ensuring that a greater percentage of our budgetary provisions are committed to capital expenditure, so that people can continue to get the dividends of democracy. We ask questions, we sought for clarifications, both the administrators as well as his accompanying team members, especially the Accountant General and the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Finance, were very involved and very active in answering our questions and providing the information that we needed. Gentlemen of the press, at this point, we are going to be bringing these proceedings to a close so that our committee can adjourn now, and we'll let guests depart. And we also have requested that the administrator will leave behind to still work with this committee some of the members of his economic team, including the Accountant General and the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Finance and their directors, so that as we walk through this weekend, they'll be available between now and Monday to still be able to, further work with the committee as to the fine lines and details. It is our intention that by Monday we would have the initial draft of our report ready. This committee will convene again formally and look through and adopt it so that we'll be able to present it to this Senate plenary when we resume next week. But again, gentlemen of the President, we thank you for your interest in us and what we're doing. And sorry if the administrator is not able to answer questions as he exits, especially political questions. He's not involved in the politics of Ibas. His assignment is very strict and straight, governance all the way. And we have refused to drag him into anything political. And we agreed to, he's here purely to talk about budget, as it relates to governance. I just want to thank you, and I would ask my distinguished colleagues if all I've said is a true reflection of our deliberations here. Those in support of that say aye. Aye. Those who are against say nay. The ayes have it. So at this point, may I most respectfully call for a motion for adjournment.